masail for our salah to be accepted and valid. So, just before salah, we did 13 conditions. 7 are before salah, and 6 are during salah in order for salah to be accepted and valid. So over here, number 7, timing of salah. So as we know that there are 3 timings which are considered as mamnu'. They are considered as prohibited, that one cannot pray any salah during this timing of salah. So number 1 is during when the sun is rising. That is called ishraq time, shuruq. That when the sun is rising, one is not allowed to pray anything. Even qada of that same day is not allowed to pray, and one needs to wait. And the waiting time is 5 to 7 minutes. So one needs to wait 5 to 7 minutes. Okay, so no nafil, no qada, nothing. The person only does dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala during this time. Number 2, yes, yes, yeah. Only sajda cannot be done. So usually sunrise happens like 5 to 7 minutes. So it happens during shuruq as well. So if a person, for example, wants to pray fajr of that day and sun is rising just say 7:40, one shouldn't start at 7:38 and try to cover up by 7:40. No. But if the person is praying 2-3 minutes, like no, 4 minutes before, and knows that he is going to finish in 2 minutes, meaning 2 minutes before the sunrise, 1 minute of the sunrise, and 2 minutes after. So between 5 to 7 minutes, 7 minutes just ihtiyat. So person shouldn't do anything. Then the second is zawal. When the sun is fully at mid-noon, at that time, same, it takes about 5 to 7 minutes. One is not allowed to pray anything. No nafal, no qada, nothing. Right? Salah that has sajda. If janaza needs to be prayed at that time, janaza can be performed. Because in janaza, there is no sajda. Then the third prohibiting time is mamnu' waqt, which is maghrib. Right? During sunset, sunset is actually less, 2-3 minutes. So in that time the person is not allowed to pray anything. And even the maghrib adhan should be given 1 minute after, right? So ba'd al maghrib, meaning the starting of the time is after the sunset, right? So at least 1 minute. It shouldn't be, adhan shouldn't be given or prayed, salah shouldn't be prayed at the time of sunset. If it says 7:50, one shouldn't just pray at 7:50, rather 7:51 ba'd al maghrib, meaning after the sunset. Okay, so these are the timings of salah, with 3 timings which are prohibited. Then there are timings which to pray it is makruh, and these are the times when the person delays the salah. So delaying any salah, it is makruh, right? So whether it is fajr, dhuhr, asr, maghrib, isha, to delay salah, it is makruh. And it's even more makruh, especially because the hadith says to delay isha if it goes beyond half night. So the countries that are near the equator, so the middle night means 12 o'clock, right? If the isha is happening around 8 o'clock and fajr is happening 4 or 5 o'clock, so the countries that are near the equator, 12 o'clock is midnight. So as the hadith says, nisful layl, half of the night. So countries like this, like in summertime, the days are longer and the nights are shorter. So half of the night will be, like for example, if Isha is happening at 10:30 and Fajr is 3:30, so just divide in between, right? So half of that, okay? So if it delays, it is makruh as per the hadith. Hmm. Best. Hmm. 1 sa'a, meaning 1 hour. So if it's exceeding 1 sa'a, it's being considered as makruh. Yeah. If it's being prayed without any excuse. If it's excuse, one is traveling or working, some excuse, one cannot pray earlier time, then obviously it's not makruh for that person. But if it's being makruh for absolutely no reason, one is delaying more than 1 sa'a, 1 hour, then that is going to be considered as makruh. Right. This yeah, this also every prayer, every prayer. The earliest, the better. This is afdal, preferable. However, as a community, You need to look at the people's situation as well. Sometimes for dhuhr especially, people at their work and offices, whatever, right? So whatever like good time for everyone to come, or majority, or at least even half the people can come, then it can be decided for that time, right? So for example, if dhuhr time starts at 1:25, let's say, and people are okay, they have lunch break maybe 2:30, so you know that that time is suitable, right? So in this way, you can delay a little bit, but not too much, right? So 1 sa'a, more than 1 hour, could be considered as, because Maghrib time is so short, right? That even 1 sa'a is like a lot of delaying, right? It should be praying within 35, 40 minutes, right?
So just one question, I probably know the answer,
Hmm.
but when you're in Jamaat,
Hmm.
praying all together in congregation, and Imam says Allahu Akbar
Hmm.
and start the Jamaat.
Hmm.
So does all the Muqtadis, whoever is following Imam,
Hmm.
must say Allahu Akbar first, takbir, tahrima?
Yes, all of them have to say
They
Allahu
can't
Akbar.
just do like this.
No, they all have to say with the tasbihat and with takbirat. Takbirat meaning Allahu Akbar for every situation that way. Takbirat and tasbihat, everyone has to do individually. With regards to qirat only, qirat, as per the Hanafi fiqh, Imam's qirat is Muqtadi's qirat. Whereas per Shafi fiqh, the Shawafi still have to recite Surah Al-Fatiha. Both the hadiths are there.
At least Surah Al-Fatiha
Surah Al-Fatiha
in every year.
and every rakah. Okay, so we move on, inshallah, because time is ticking. So those were fara'id. Now wajibat. Wajibat. Okay, now there's slightly difference between fard and wajibat or wajib. Many of the fuqaha, they don't differentiate between fard and wajib, right? They say both are mandatory, both are compulsory. But fiqh like Hanafi fiqh and Maliki fiqh, they differentiate between fard and wajib. So fard, anything that is clear, stated in the Quran, that's number one. Anything that is clear, stated in the Quran. Anything that is clear and it has been narrated by multiple chains, multiple narrations of the hadith are there. Those are going to be considered as fara'id, fard. But if something is not so clear in the Quran, and the opportunity of ijtihad is there, where the fuqaha, they are going to have disagreement based on their ijtihad, which is correct, right? So if something is not clear, or there's a hadith, but the hadith is also not clear, but it shows the importance to do it or not to do, that becomes wajib. Okay? So wajib and fard, we know the difference now. If something is clear, no need for ijtihad, or the hadith, there are many of the hadith which Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is telling us to do, so that becomes fard. But if something is not clear, or maybe there's just one hadith, or maybe the hadith is not so clear, it is wajib. Okay? So because in Hanafi fiqh there are 13 wajibat, some say 14, but because of that, there's two difference of opinion, right? And also some things are not so clear. So ijtihad was done. Ijtihad is done first looking at the Quran, looking at the Sunnah of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, looking at the actions of Sahaba, and doing qiyas as well, analogy. Qiyas is also part of uh, taking out masail. What is qiyas? For example, the brother Fahad asked me a question before Salah, that if someone corrects someone, for example, someone missed a second sajda, someone missed a second sajda and is about to get up, and the person who's not in Salah tries to correct him, right? Is that okay to take it or not? Based on what I'm thinking, I don't know yet, but based on what I'm thinking, doing my qiyas, the salah will be invalid. And the reason for that is there's many reasons. One is that we know clearly if someone corrects the person, imam or anyone that's reciting out loud from outside, the person's salah is fasid. One cannot take something from correction outside of salah. Number two is that another fiqh issue. Now these are all qiyas I'm doing. Another fiqh issue is that, for example, someone sneezed outside of salah, who's not in salah, and he said Alhamdulillah, and the person who was praying salah said Yarhamukallah. Salah is fasid, right? Because it's something that is taken out from the person who's not in salah. Or even salah, even one says Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah, it breaks, right? Another thing that I mentioned about the hadith, that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam saw this person and he prayed 2-3 times, that he wasn't doing his qawmah, Sami Allah liman hamida position correctly, and he wasn't doing his jalsa, sitting between the two sajda correctly. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was looking, but he did not correct him. When he finished, then he corrected him. So based on these qiyas, these dalail, I'm saying maybe it will be invalid. Okay, so this is what is called qiyas. Okay, 40, there are 13 or 14 wajibat of salah. So I'm just going to jot down the notes instead of writing in sentences. Okay, inshallah. In between, if there's any question, inshallah, you can ask. So number one is reciting Surah Fatiha. Now we talked about this. If a person is praying individually, the person must recite Surah Al-Fatiha no matter what. And if a person is praying with Jama'ah, then according to Hanafi fiqh, based on the hadith, Imam's qirat is muqtadi's qirat. But according to Shafi and Hanbali fiqh, the person still needs to recite Surah Al-Fatiha despite the Imam is reciting. Number two, one long ayah or 3 short ayah. So after reciting Surah Al-Fatiha, minimum one should recite minimum one long verse of the Quran or 3 short ayah of the Quran. So what is long verse? Anything that is 3 lines or more than 3 lines. Okay, so we pick up the Quran and we see the ayah 3 lines or more than 3 lines, that is considered as a long ayah. So for example, if someone reads Ayatul Kursi, even though it's only one verse, but it is into 6-7 lines, so that ayah is sufficient for one rak'ah to be completed. Okay. So even in Shafi'i fiqh, if a person is reciting, if doing with jama'ah, he does not need to read after Fatiha. Only Fatiha is wajib. But this is, of course, individually when praying someone individually. Number 3, tartib. Tartib. What does it mean, tartib? One cannot just recite this first, number 2, and then recite Al-Fatiha after. No. It needs to be done in sequence. For some reason, maybe a person is tired or whatever the reason is, person recited this first and then recited Al-Fatiha after, the person needs to do sajda sahw. So sajda sahw is going to happen in wajibat. If someone forgot it or someone didn't do tartib properly, then sajda sahw is wajib. Okay, meaning the sajda sahw is mandatory. Number 4, ta'dil arkan. So ta'dil arkan, in all the situation, it is important. Ta'dil arkan means that every position should be done the right way and the correct way. If some position is not done the right way and the correct way, then sajda sahw needs to be done at the end. So for example, if someone didn't do salam properly, just did this, ta'dil arkan is not done properly. Okay, so ta'dil arkan means every situation needs to be done properly and correct way. If it's missed, then sajda sahw needs to be done. So both opinions are there. One of the opinion is that after at-tahiyyat, ashhadu an la ilaha wa ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah, then the sajda sahw, or after reading everything, at-tahiyyat, durood, and the dua, and then making salam after. Both opinions are okay. Because both hadith are there. Okay. Number 5. Qawma. Okay, not qurma, but qawma. Okay, yes, we're hungry. Qurma, it's a South Asian dish, curry. So it's related to qawma. Fakhair. Qawma is the standing position after ruku. Sami Allahu liman hamida. right? If someone forgets and didn't do, then in the end, sajda saw is wajib. Now, the standing of qawma, as we talked before salah, at least it needs to be done the miqdar of one subhanallah. Like, it takes half a second or 1 second to say subhanallah and slowly. So at least if a person stands for that amount of time, it's okay. But if someone didn't do properly, did it halfway, then sajda saw is wajib. Number 6. Yes. The first sitting of at-tahiyyat. What does that mean? If the prayer is 3 or 4, Maghrib or Dhuhr or Asr, Isha. Now the first at-tahiyyat is wajib. If someone forgets and stands up for third rak'ah, the person has to do sajda saw afterwards, right? But if a person stands up for the miqdar of three subhanallah, that during this time the person goes back, the sajda saw is not necessary. But if it extends and exceeds the miqdar of 3 subhanallah, meaning person forgot and stood up for some time, and subhanallah, 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 like 2 seconds has passed by, now sajda saw is wajib. Or if a person has recited the complete Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, it means the delay has happened and the person needs to do sajda saw. Okay, so the first sitting of at-tahiyyat, it is wajib. Whereas for fard, what was it? The last one. The last one is must. Meaning one sentence is done. So even, for example, 3 subhanallah didn't happen, but someone was in rush, stood up, alhamdulillah bil alameen, one sentence done, and that is considered as delay. To recite tashahud, it is wajib in both the scenario, in the first qaida and the second qaida. To recite tashahud, it is must. If someone does not do it, then sajda sahu is wajib.
So if in the first sitting, if you go beyond the tashahhud and then start the wudu,
Yes.
so do you
So over here, the last of this was delaying, not to delay. So if it delays, some circumstance is more than 3 subhanallah, some circumstance 1 subhanallah. For this one, so the question everyone understood is that, for example, for first sitting, when there's third rak'ah or fourth rak'ah, if after reciting tashahhud, one starts off with second rak'ah, third rak'ah, the person is sitting for second and going for third and fourth, right? So the first qaida, if someone finished at-tahiyyat, now he needs to get up, right, for the third rak'ah. But he started reciting durud, Salatul Ibrahimi, forgot that he needs to stand up. But now in between Salatul Ibrahimi, he remembers, now he stands up. Such as how is going to happen. Why? Because one complete sentence is done. And what is that one complete sentence? Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. So Muhammad over here is one sentence. Now, wa ala Ali Muhammad, it is different, right? So if the person remembers Allahumma salli ala and then gets up, no sajda saw. But if it's after Muhammad is recited, then sajda saw, because that is going to consider as delay. Okay, 7. Number 8. To say salam at the end. Okay, one cannot just finish at tahiyyat and durud and leave, right? To say salam, both salam, it is wajib. Number 9. Okay, the takbir of qunut and the recitation of qunut, both are wajib. If it's missed, person forgot, then sajda sahw needs to be done. Okay, so the takbir, that's one, and then reciting qunut. There's different du'as for qunut. One can recite any of them. So if one or both are missed, sajda sahw needs to be done.
This is just
For witr, yes, for qunut.
So about the same salam, is there any fixed way of doing that, or is it flexible? Like I've seen people while in Jamaat. How should we be doing it?
In Jamaat,
Yeah.
yes. So this is a good question, how to say salam, especially for the followers, right? Because if they are ahead of Imam, it means their salah is fasid. They cannot be ahead of Imam. So in order to do properly, when the Imam says Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah, the muqtadis shouldn't do Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah. When the Imam says Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah for the second time, this is when the muqtadis can do the first salam. And then when the Imam finishes completely the second salam, this is when the muqtadi does the second salam. Okay. And now, because like I said in the beginning, the Imam needs to know the basics of this. Now, in the fiqh books, it is mentioned that the first salam should be longer than the second. And the reason for that is if the Imam makes the second salam long, people will just finish, right? And it will mess up their salah, right? So the first salam should be longer than the second one. Now it depends on the Imam. So that's why it's important, to lead salah, one needs to know at least these basics.
I think it usually happens in Kaaba. First salam is usually longer.
Yeah.
Isab does the same.
Yeah, in Kaaba and Medina, it's not necessary. Obviously, it's not necessary to follow the muadhin's takbir, right? Because muadhin does it after the second salam of the Imam is done. People don't even wait for that. If the Hajr Aswad is there, they try to. That's it, gone. It's your question.
Sajda sahw is this question from Hanfi point of view. Is it always done outside salah or can it be done inside salah? Like
Inside salah.
can we do it without saying one salah?
No, the one salam has to be there. For Shawafi fiqh, not necessarily. Shawafi and Hanbali fiqh.
And if I forget to do sajda sahw,
Then your salah is invalid.
both salam
Ah.
done. You're forgetting too many things now. Yeah.
Now, no, this situation, for example, you forgot sajda sahw, right? Wajibat. I'm not talking about faraid. Faraid, if you didn't do, your salah is invalid. For this, if you miss something and you didn't even do sajda sahw, you forgot even sajda sahw, then before doing anything that salah becomes fasid, if the person hasn't done it, the person can do sajda sahw. Meaning, the person hasn't moved from the Kaaba's position more than 45 angle, right? If the person remembers that before turning away more than 45 degrees, it means, and the person hasn't said any word to anyone, or the person has not drink water, these things that break salah, right? So if these things weren't done and the person was still facing the Kaaba, then the person can do sajda sahw.
Yeah, there's a hadith on that as well, I think.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Even tasbiyat as well. So I mean, I've finished starting tasbiyat, but then I realized I need to do sajda. So can I do sajda?
Then you do sajda sahw, yeah. Sorry, some question? Okay, move on. Inshallah. Number 10 is Allahumma laka sumtu wa bika amantu wa alayka tawakkaltu. Okay, we're almost done. 3 more. Okay, 10 and 11, simple. Those prayer which are Fajr, Maghrib, Isha, Jum'ah, Eidain is recited out loud. The Imam cannot recite it silently. Okay? If the Imam recites silently and people were just somewhere else and then remembers after, Sajda Sahw needs to be done. You have a question? You tired? Okay. And softly, Dhuhr, Asr, yeah, that's pretty much it. Dhuhr, Asr needs to be done silently.
Just a quick question.
Mhm.
Can we recite Fatiha in Sayyidi Salah? So you said like Imam's Fatiha is Muqtadi's Fatiha,
Yeah.
but can they
In Hanafi fiqh, no need. Yeah. In Shafi fiqh, yes.
In silent also.
Dhuhr Asr,
Silent rakats.
in Dhuhr Asr, you meaning, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no need. Yeah, because as per the hadith, Imam's qirat is Muqtadi's
but
qirat.
if somebody recites
If someone is writing, of course, it's okay. It's not like no problem. Yeah. And so number 12 is not to delay any rukun. So we talked about this, that if person gets up, forgot tashahud, for the third rakah, the person got up, forgot tashahud, now recited Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, is delayed, right? So delaying any rukun, it leads to doing sajda sahw, breaking.
What was her 11th part?
11, to recite softly in sir salah. Sir meaning those salah that recited out silently, dhuhr and asr. Okay, so it cannot be done vice versa.
If the Imam accidentally started
Hmm.
loud
Hmm.
in the first rakah of
Hmm.
Asr,
Then if one sentence has been done,
yeah,
then sajda sahw needs to be made. So Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen is one sentence. And last one. Takbirat of Eid, okay? Takbirat of Eid, it is also wajib. Now, because there in Hanafi fiqh, there's 6 extra takbirat. In other madahib, there's 11, 12. Sometimes it becomes difficult to count all of them, right? So even if one takbir is left out or missed out or forgotten, then it means the wajib has been left out and sajda sahw needs to be made at the end. Okay, so these are the wajibat of salah.
what was number 4 again? Tadil Arkan?
Ta'dil arkan, it means that it needs to be done properly. If it's not done properly or halfway, then it means that sajda sahw needs to be made. So every rukun needs to be done properly.
Number 11, is it for Shafi and Hanafi to recite aloud? You started off
This is with jama'ah. So Imam cannot stay silent in Fajr, Maghrib, and Isha, and Imam cannot recite out loud in Dhuhr and Asr.
but number 11, if you recite aloud in the first rak'ah,
Mhm.
you still make
If it's one sentence has been done. Hanafi or Shafi, yeah. Now, if a person is praying individually at home or office, whatever the situation is, person is praying individually, then it is recommended for loud salah, Fajr, Dhuhr, Asr, read it in normal voice. And yeah, normal, not so loud like the Imam said, but just normal voice. That just is how just we speak to each other.
Even Zohar Asr.
No, Dhuhr, Asr you recite it silently. Yeah. For Fajr, Dhuhr, for Fajr, Maghrib, Isha, normal voice. For Dhuhr and Asr, silent voice.
So if somebody comes into masjid,
Hmm.
Maghrib Salah time,
Hmm.
and there's no one in there,
Mhm.
so is it okay if he gives
Iqama.
himself,
Yes.
first adhan, then Iqama himself, and then say loudly,
Yes.
Allahu Akbar, and then started reading loudly,
Yes,
and the first 2 rakahs?
of course. Yeah, that's okay. Yes.
What are Jahar and Sir
Good
Salah?
question. What is Jahar and Salah? What is Jahar and Sir? No one asked me that for some reason. Maybe everyone knew. So Jahar means those Salah in which we have to recite out loud. So like Fajr, the Imam recites out loud, right? You hear on the mic the Imam recites out loud. In Maghrib, the Imam recites out loud. In Isha, the Imam recites out loud. In Jummah Salah, the Imam recites out loud. So any out loud voice is called Jahar. And any silent voice which we read individually, that is called Sir. Okay? You understand? So softly and loudly. So loudly means Jahar, softly means Sir. Terminology in fiqh.
Can you please share the way or how to perform sajda so?
Sajda sahw?
Yeah.
So after at-tahiyyat is done, ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammad sallallahu, and once salam, everything is done, then ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammad sallallahu, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, and then 2 sajda. 2 sajda is done, and then start from at-tahiyyat again. At-tahiyyat again, and then durood and dua, and then.
So you do not have to make correction in the mistake which you did actually.
No.
Like in Qiyamah, if it was in Qiyamah, you don't have to stand up and perform that again.
No, not
And
that one.
what about the Shafi'i way?
Shafi way is all the way at the end. I think Shafi, even Maliki, is difference of opinion. It's reading everything, dua and everything, and then doing salam at the end.
Yeah, just so that's like.
I think we can ask them. In Shafi way, how you get Shafi or Hanbali?
Shafi, we did not. So only enough one tahiyat.
Okay.
We made that tahiyat
Uh-huh.
in Sujud Sawi.
Okay.
After that, Salaam alaikum. Because no more.
Okay, no more Salatul Ibrahimi, no more dua. Okay.
So once you do Salat al-Ibrahim, I mean, you do Durood Sharif.
They don't understand Durood Sharif. Salatul Ibrahim.
And then you don't say salam.
When you finish a tahiyat, Ibrahim
Oh, yes.
Sujud Sawi, then Salam.
Yes. So all the way at the end.
Yes.
There, Shafi is all the way at the end, where Hanafi is after at-tahiyyat.
My point is all the way at the end. Before saying Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, do two sajoods and then say salam.
They do it like that, but
Yeah. No, just the way.
Yeah.
And what about if we miss takbir of Eid, for example, one takbir we have missed?
Yes, this is a good question. If someone came late for Eid Jamaat, right? Now there's two scenarios. One is that now the Imam has done the takbirat in the first rak'ah. Now the Imam is reciting Surah Al-Fatiha and Surah, right? Now the person came, found the Jamaat in the first rak'ah. Now the person will say as usual, like how Imam started. So Allahu Akbar, recite the three takbirat. So Allahu Akbar will be one takbir for closing, takbir tahrima. Then there's three extra takbirat because that's been missed. So the person recites his three takbirat. Now, if, for example, person came and finds Imam in ruku in the first rak'ah. Now the person comes, says takbirat tahrima, Allahu Akbar, goes to ruku. Now in ruku, the person will say takbirat three times. Okay, in ruku, the person will say takbirat three times. But now, second scenario is that if a person misses his first rak'ah completely, now joins in second rak'ah. We know in second rak'ah, the Imam does takbirat before going to ruku, right? So we know that the person has caught up with second rak'ah, but he has missed first takbirat. Now after, when the Imam is done, Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah, Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah, now the person who has missed, now there's two ways. Either to do it from the beginning, which was that the person has missed three takbirat, right? So after getting up, Allahu Akbar, one should say Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. Or the second situation is that before going to ruku, say three times Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. So both ways.
So regarding the Eid Salah, there are all mixed ways in a
Yeah.
way that some people do Allahu Akbar and leave their hands. They don't fold their hands. Some people say Allahu Akbar and fold their hands for all the takbir. Some people doesn't even put their hands like up to the ear.
So both opinions are there. According to Hanafi fiqh, the first one is not considered as extra takbir. Rather, it is takbir tahrima, the first opening takbir. Allahu Akbar, close and read thana. Subhanakallahumma bihamdika wa tabarakas. Then Allahu Akbar, three, Allahu Akbar, leave it, Allahu Akbar, leave it, Allahu Akbar, leave it, and the fourth is for ruku. So that's Hanafi way. In Shafi'i, I think the first is 7 and the second is 5, right? Yeah. So 7 and 5. In Shafi'i and Hanbali fiqh, it is a total of 12 takbirat are there.
So you leave your hands.
Both you leave your hands. In both Shafi'i and Hanbali, both you leave your hands. Even in Hanafi, you leave your hands. Only takbirat tahma you are closing because you have to recite thana, right? That is not extra takbir. That is takbirat tahrima. And extra takbir, you're saying Allahu Akbar and you're leaving it.
So what's the masnoon practice of raising or pointing the finger after tashahhud?
Yeah.
Just after tashahhud or just keep it the whole?
So with regards to this, many narrations from different Sahabi. And because many Sahabas, they did different ways, so one particular fiqh has accepted this, another particular has accepted this. So one of the way, for example, Hanafi fiqh is that ashhadu an on la, we raise la ilaha illallah. On illallah, we drop it. Okay. So ashhadu, we make the fist, la ilaha, raise, and then illallah, drop it. Now, when dropping, we don't, for example, this is our thigh, right? We don't go like this or we don't go like this. Rather, the finger is still out, but little bit in the air. Okay, not completely at the bottom and not completely so high in Hanafi fiqh, but rather little bit in the air. And this, subhanallah, because there was so much difference of opinion. So I personally, during my student years, I purposely tried to pray beside Mufti Taqi Uthmani, right? Because he was our ustad. So I said, to understand this, I should pray beside him in Dhuhr or Asr whenever he was available. So 2-3 times I got a chance and I saw him that he did the same way. That after Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, he would put his finger a little bit in the air. And the reason for that is because other madhahib, they still move their fingers even after tashahud. In durood, in salatul ibrahimi and dua, they still keep on moving their fingers. So just for ihtiyat and better, just to keep with them as well, Shafi and Hanbali, so Hanafis also say to keep a little bit in the air, but no need to move it. Whereas Hanbali fiqh, Shafi fiqh, they move it. Right? Both ways are okay. And even if someone didn't do is sunnah, if sunnah is left out, even though it's not good, but salah is valid, no sunnah is done. Right? If sunnah is left out. There's so many sunnah we cannot cover, but this is the basics that we have covered. Okay, fara'id and wajibat. Okay. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us understanding and amal. Subhanallah bihamdi, subhanakallahumma bihamdika, wa nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk, walhamdulillahi bil alamin. Jazakumullah khair.